Good morning, class 9 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagriti Classes. Now, today we'll start a new unit, that is chapter 8 of class 9th, Motion. And this is the chapter belonging to Physics. So now we are doing chapter 8 for class 9th. And the chapter here is Motion. And this is your chapter of physics. So this is again a very interesting chapter and this is much easier, okay? We'll see, remember in physics you have to learn theory, that is the definitions, their units, symbols, etc. But along with this, we'll also practice all the questions or numericals. So in physics, if you understand the concepts clearly, then you will get to know or you will be able to solve the numericals related to those concepts, okay? So before this, in the last classes, we have completed chapter 6, that is tissues, and then chapter 7th. This chapter, which is chapter 7th, diversity. Diversity in the living world. According to the latest syllabus, this chapter has been deleted by CBSE for 2021, okay? So we are not undertaking this chapter now, but once we'll be completing this series of class 9th, according to the revised syllabus, then we'll start the deleted topics too, okay? So then we'll do this chapter, but for now we are not doing the chapter number 7, which is diversity, and from chapter number 1 to 6, I have completed everything. So now moving on to the chapter 8, which is the chapter of physics, motion. Okay, let's start. As we start that, what do you mean by the name of the chapter itself? What do you understand by the term motion here? So the term motion means anything which is moving. In general sense, you will say we know what is motion. Motion is the movement of a thing, a object or any organism, any body. So motion here means movement, and the contrasting term of motion is rest. So you should know the definition of motion. How can you perceive that anything is in motion? Or how perceive means how can you judge or understand that anything, any object is in motion? The simple point is, if I am standing at certain instant of time here, and then after some time I change my position and come at a different point. So what do you observe? That as the time increased, that is after certain amount of time, I changed my position. So if my position changed accordingly with respect to time, you said that I have moved or I have undergone motion. So the definition of motion here would be change in position of object. Let's suppose I am the object here. So change in the position of object with respect to what? With respect to the time, what you are seeing. Then we say that that certain object has undergone some kind of motion. Okay, then how to perceive motion? You know that we can calculate motion or we can judge motion according to the time. What is the another way or another thing? Can you take any other reference for judging? Yes, you can say that my position has changed according to a reference point. For example, reference point would be the board, the panel here. So if I say that firstly I was standing at the right of the panel, okay, and then I moved or changed my way and direction. Let's suppose here I am standing, so I am at the right side of the panel, and now this panel is fixed or stationary, but the object, that is I changed my position. So you can say that for describing the position, now I moved away from the right end of this panel. Firstly, I was standing at the right end of this panel, and now with respect to time, I moved certain distance from this right end of the panel. So you can say that I have undergone motion. So this, I think, is much clear explanation about motion. So what is motion? If you want to define this term motion, you will write, when any object changes its position, when any object changes its position with respect to time, with respect to time, okay, then we say that the object has undergone motion. When any object changes its position with respect to time, then we say that object has undergone motion. And for the exact definition, if you say that how to define motion, so the definition of motion would be change in position of object, change in the position of object with respect to change in position of object with respect to time. This change in position of any object with respect to a time interval is said to be the definition of motion. So motion, speaking about motion simply, it is when object changes its position with respect to the given time, then you say that the object has undergone motion. And then you can also define what do you mean by the term rest. Rest means, actually in physics, if you do any kind of work, okay, we cannot say that it always motion would be included. No. What I'm trying to say is, in physics and in general sense, the term which we use like rest, if I say in general sense that somebody is in rest, what do you infer or conclude? You conclude that he might be sleeping, okay, he might be on his bed, he is resting, he is in peace, okay, he is in rest, you can say. But for physics, even I will say that anything, any object, any student, or if anyone is reading anything, okay, you are studying and you are studying continuously for 2 hours, but the fact is that you are sitting on just one place, you haven't changed your position, you have focused or concentrated on your studies so much that you don't know what is going around you and you are not aware of it, so you haven't changed your position. So according to physics, we'll say that you are in rest. That is, you haven't done anything, you are sitting in rest. But we know that if we have studied sitting at a single place for 1-2 hours, then we have done a much harder work, okay? We have put harder efforts and hard work had been done. But according to physics, we'll say that no, that object, that is that student is sitting at rest. Because rest means when the position of the object is not changing with respect to the time. That is, even after 1 hour, you are sitting at the same place itself. And even after 2 hours, you are sitting at the same place. That means you have not changed your position according to the time. This will imply that this object would be in rest. So this is what all about physics. So rest is when there is no kind of change, or just writing the exact definition now, okay? You can say that when position of the object, remember here we are focusing or emphasizing on position. We need that if any object changes its position with time, you call that object to be in motion. And if any object does not alter or does not change its position with the time, you say that object is in rest. So when position of object does not change with respect to time, then such objects are said to be in rest. So this is the basic definition and basic difference between the terms motion and rest. And now we will be dealing in this chapter with the different types of motions also you have studied different types of motions in your junior classes, okay, 7th and 8th classes. But we'll be discussing some new or some other types of motion. Then we'll be seeing certain equations of motions, and then we'll be also drawing certain graphs. That is how to make the graph of some objects which are moving in motion in different types of motions. So let's start our discussion. I hope you have got both these terms, that what do you mean by motion and rest. In these, our main focus, the classification of motion and rest was based on position of an object. If the position of object changes with respect to time, then you said that the object is in motion, whereas if the position remains fixed or stationary, then the object is considered at rest. Now, this also again I have told you one next word, which is reference point. So what do you mean by the term reference point? Reference point, like I said, that firstly I was standing near this right panel or right hand side of the panel, and then after some time I moved away from it. That means how I moved, how you are judging my movement. That is, firstly the distance between the right side of the panel and me was negligible or zero. But once I stepped at the left, then you said that the distance between the object, that is the distance between me and the right side of the panel, increased. So we said that we need a reference point which is a stationary point or a stationary thing by which you can judge the motion of other things or your other desired objects. So reference point, it is a stationary point with respect to which other objects are said to be in motion or to be in rest position. So reference point and this point, it is also known as origin. So origin and reference point are one and the same thing. It means that it is a fixed point through which you judge that either the object has undergone any kind of motion or the object is stationary. So this is called reference point. For example, the example which I provided you, in this the reference point was the right side of this panel. So now we are undertaking different kinds of motion, and which you have also done in your junior classes. So now our topic would be types of motion. And here you have to study two types of motion. The first one would be uniform motion, and the next is non-uniform motion. So what do you mean by these types, that is uniform and non-uniform motion? Uniform motion, let's consider that you are going for a walk. Okay, and if you go for a walk in early morning hours, then you find many less number of people around you. That means you have a free space or a free path so that you can move on that path. Okay, then what we see that if we walk and we choose the time of early morning where less number of people are present, then we can choose the speed or our rate of motion according to our wish. Okay, then this rate of motion would remain constant, because there would be no restrictions, no problems of other people or traffic in your path which you are moving. So you can move at a fixed rate, at a fixed speed. So this is what you have, uniform motion. That is, the definition of uniform motion is when an object covers equal distance in equal intervals of time. That object is said to be in uniform motion. But now talking about non-uniform motion. Or else first I'll give you the exact values for you. Like I said, you are walking as per your own wish or as per your own speed. And because you have chosen the early morning hours, then there is no problem, no restrictions of other people and traffic in between. So you will be able to maintain the desired speed. Let's suppose you walk every 50 steps in 2 minutes. Okay? Let's suppose your speed or rate of motion is 50 steps in 2 minutes. Then this would remain fixed. And then in again, let's suppose in the first 2 minutes, you walked 50 steps. And then in the next 2 minutes, again you will walk 50 steps. And this would remain constant. That is, in every 2 minutes, you are walking 50 steps. Okay, this I've taken as general example. Might you can walk more faster than this, you can jog, you can run also, okay? So all depends on your caliber and speed. But for understanding this concept, we have taken that any object is moving 50 steps in 2 minutes. That means if I try to draw a table between number of steps, that is distance you can write. Let's suppose one step here means 1 meter, or I can say 0.5 meter. Or one step of any object is of 0.5 meter. Then what do we infer that? And this here we are taking time in minutes. And the number of steps, now I'm not taking here the number of steps, but we are taking distance traveled, and these distance would be in meter. So I said you are starting the time. First the time was 0 and the object was also at rest. That is, we have not started walking. So the distance covered was also 0. Now, when the time became 2 minutes, then the distance traveled also increased. In 2 minutes, how many steps you covered? 50 steps. And if I said you that one step is of half meter, that is 0.5 meter. So 50 steps would mean how many meters? So 50 steps would mean in 2 minutes now you have traveled 25 meters distance. Now in next 2 minutes, that is a total time of 4 minutes, how much distance you would travel? In the next 2 minutes also, you will travel 25 meter. So now if I write here the total distance, then the total distance traveled which I would get would be 50 meters. Now talking about the next 2 minutes, that is now the clock after 4 minutes, now taking 4 minutes as the initial time. Now 4 plus 2 gives you how many minutes? 6 minutes. And in 6 minutes, the total distance traveled by the object would be what? It would be 75 minutes. So this would be the total distance traveled by any object. And if you try to look at the differences, that is, the difference between 2 and 4 is of 2 minutes. Then next difference between this 4 and 6 is also of 2 minutes. And here also, if you take out the distance, then the difference in distance would be also 25. So what do we infer from this? We said that when an object, that is this object is traveling equal amount of distance in equal time interval, that is in every 2 minutes time, this object is traveling 25 meters. So by this we can make out our own definition, which is uniform motion means when any object covers equal distance in equal intervals of time, then the object is said to be in uniform motion. I hope you got this example. We are not telling that here, you please do not get confused that in the 2 minutes the distance is 25, in 4 minutes it is 50. So how come 25 and 50 are not same? No, we are telling that these are the total distance, okay, and this is your total time taken. But for taking out or for understanding uniform motion, you take out the difference between both these. Then you will get that you are traveling with in equal intervals. That is, after every 2 minutes your time is increasing and then you are covering equal distance. So we say that uniform motion means when object cover equal distance in equal intervals of time. Now taking the similar example for non-uniform motion, that is, now today you woke up very late and you got late for your walk, But whenever you stepped out of your house, you saw many people are on the path and many kind of vehicles are there too. So what would be there? Let's suppose now you started your clock. So here we'll again take time, which would be in minutes, and then here would be your distance traveled in meters. So you said that when the time was 0, that is when you just stepped out, the distance covered was also 0. Then in the first 2 minutes, you noticed that you covered 25 meters. That is, near your house, there was no traffic or very less traffic. So it did not cause any problem and you covered 25 meters as you usually did. But when you reached more far from your house, then you noticed that time you will take in the same increasing order, that is after every 2 minutes, because the clock is not getting affected, okay? Time is running at the normal speed as it runs. So we say that 2, 4, 6, the time would be same here, that is you can manage to look at the time after every 2 minutes. But here, when you reached more far from your house, you saw much traffic, and then because of the traffic, you could not maintain your speed to cover 50 steps in 2 minutes or to cover 25 meters in the next 2 minutes. And then what you did is, you just covered 15 meters in the next 2 minutes. And then in the next further 2 minutes, you managed to cover 20 meters. Okay, you ran for a while and you managed to cover 20-meter distance. What does these values show? You are getting the time to be, that is, time has a difference of 2 minutes each. But while talking about this distance, you say that now you are not covering equal distances in equal amount of time. That is, the difference between these are 10 meters. In a gap of 2 minutes, you covered, firstly, in the first 2 minutes, you covered 25-meter distance. But in the next 2 minutes, if you observe, you covered only 10-meter distance. And in the further next 2 minutes, you were able to cover only 5-meter distance. So what does this tell you? That time is increasing at a uniform rate, but your distance is not increasing at a uniform rate corresponding to the time. So this would be an example of non-uniform motion. So what do you mean by this term, non-uniform motion? When the motion of an object is not constant, or when the object covers, a simple definition would be, when an object covers unequal distance in equal intervals of time, then the object is said to be in non-uniform motion. So I hope this is clear. Do remember that in both the definitions, that is in the definition of uniform motion as well as in the definition of non-uniform motion, you'll always get equal intervals of time. When you are speaking about the time, you have equal intervals. But these two motions are categorized differently on the basis of difference in interval of distance covered. So when any object covers equal distance in equal intervals of time, it is uniform, and if the object covers unequal distances, then it is said to be in non-uniform motion. So let's write down the definitions of uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Uniform motion means when object covers equal distance, when the object covers equal distance in equal intervals of time, it is said to be in uniform motion. It is said to be in uniform motion. Okay? So the two important words which you should remember is the distance traveled is equal in equal intervals of time. And for the non-uniform motion, you can form the definition as we have written above, and I have also told you earlier that what do you mean by the term non-uniform, how can you define non-uniform motion. So you will say, now I am not writing the whole definition, okay, I am only writing the changes. That is, this would remain same when object covers. In the place of equal distance, what do you have? Unequal distances. And then again the definition would remain same, but the change would be that in equal intervals of time, the similar will come here. In equal intervals of time. So we say that non-uniform motion, how can you define this term? This would be when object covers unequal distance in equal intervals of time, such object is said to be in non-uniform motion. So this is an example we have already discussed of uniform and non-uniform motion about your walking. So these are the definitions of both the types of motion, that is uniform motion and non-uniform motion. So this was an introduction of your chapter. Now we have to discuss two terms. But before starting these terms, let me give you an idea about two categories, that is about physical quantities. What do you mean by this physical quantities? Physical quantities are those quantities which can be measured. The quantities which you can measure are known as physical quantities. Like you say, examples of physical quantities would be length, then it would be temperature, then it can be time, okay, then it would be volume, you can say, or mass, volume. These all are physical quantities. So physical quantities means all those quantities which can be measured. And for measurement of these physical quantities, if you write the measurement of these physical quantities, then in the measurement you have a numerical quantity, that is a numerical value, and with this numerical value you also use a unit. So numerical value means any number. If you say, let's suppose I am measuring the physical quantity of length, then I say there is a rod which is 20, okay, 20 is its length. So can you get an idea? If I say the length of any object is 20, you will say, ma'am, 20 what? What is the unit? Please specify the unit after 20. So if I write the length is 20 meters, then you will get, okay, it is a long object. But if I write it is 20 millimeter, then you will say, oh, 20 millimeter is quite a very short size. So these two things are required for measurement of any physical quantity. That is, for measuring any physical quantity, you require a numerical value, and with this numerical value, you have to also specify a specific or a particular unit. Like for length, we have meter, centimeter, millimeters, and we have their SI units, that is the standard units. So standard units of length is meter, standard unit of time is second, standard unit of mass is kg, okay. So these are the standard units of some physical quantities. Now, what is of our importance? These physical quantities, they can be divided into two terms, okay, and these two classes are scalar and vector quantities. So firstly, I'll give you an idea what do you mean by these terms scalar and vector. You just have to remember only their significance or their, okay, brief detail. Scalar quantities, the quantities which contain only magnitude. Magnitude here means amount, okay. So scalar quantities are those quantities which contain only the magnitude, whereas the next one, which is your vector quantity, if we say that certain physical quantity is vector in nature, what do you mean? That the quantity which has two things, that is both the things magnitude as well as direction. These quantities are known as vector quantities. So you have two kinds of quantities, that is scalar and vector. Scalar quantities are those quantities which contain only magnitude, while vector quantities has two things in them. They have the magnitude, that is amount, numerical value. With this they also have the direction. So this is what you mean by the term scalar and vector. Now these terms are not given in your books, but we have discussed, because while we'll be dealing with the next topics, then I'll just write there that the given quantity is vector in nature or the given quantity is scalar. So I want you to understand that if I'm writing any quantity to be vector, what do I mean to say? That this quantity has a magnitude, has a quantity or a numerical value, but this with this magnitude it also has a direction. So starting with the first, which is given in your books, it is distance and displacement. These are the two terms which is given in your books. What do you mean by the terms distance and displacement? For this, let's take an example. Let's suppose this is a path, okay, and I am numbering the path. These are the numbers in meter, okay, the length of path in meter. Now I say that there is an object. This object starts to travel on this path, and this object starts from the point A, that is A corresponds to 0 meters. And then starting from the point A, an object starts to travel from point A, and then while traveling, this object reaches to the point B. So I'm writing the path, that is an object has traveled from point A to point B. A means here 0 meters and B is your 5 meters. Then this object again traveled from the point B to the point C here. So after traveling to B, it again went back to the point C, and C is at 3 meters. And then after C, from this distance C, he went to this point D, and D was at 6 meters. So now I am asking, can you tell me the total distance traveled by the object? When an object started to move from point A, then it moved to point B, then to the point C, and then again to point D. Now what is the total distance traveled from the point A to D? What would be the total distance? It is quite simple. The object, when it was at point A, distance traveled was 0 meter. From point A to B, it traveled how many meters? 5 meters. Then from point B to C, he again went from this 5 meter mark to the 3 meter mark. So how much distance it traveled? Moving from this 5 meter mark to 3 meters, how many meters are involved? 1 and 2. So this means for calculating the total distance between these points, we'll say 0 plus we get 5. Then covering the distance from B to C is from 5 to 3 meter mark. This means you have a distance of 2 meter, and then from C to D. Then the object is traveling from this 3 meter mark to the 6 meter mark. Between these 3 meter mark and 6 meter mark, how many meters are involved? You can say 1, 2 and 3 meters. So you have 3 meters. And the sum of all these numbers give you the total distance traveled by the object. That is, the object has covered a total distance of 10 meters. So can you define distance now? What do you mean by the distance? Distance will be the total path length covered by the object. Okay? So what is distance? Total means we are summing up all the path, all the lengths which the object undergo, okay, which the object covered. So we say that distance would be what? Now writing the definition of distance first, okay. So distance would be total path length. Path length means on the path which the object is walking, in how much length it has covered while walking on this path, as I explained you in the example. And total word is important here because you are adding up or summing up all the distances which the object covered. So we say that the definition of distance would be total path length covered by the object. Okay, and then you can give this example that when an object starts from A point and then it travels to B, C and then to D, the total distance covered is 10 meters. Now talking about the displacement, what do you mean by the term displacement? If I write the definition of displacement, displacement means shortest distance between initial and final position. So displacement is the shortest distance. This term is very important, the word shortest here. It is the shortest distance between initial and final position. This is called displacement. So can you now tell me initial, that is starting position. Initial position means starting point, starting position of the journey, and final means your end point of the journey of object. So now coming on to the same example, the object traveled this path, okay? That is, the object started from A. So the initial point of the journey or the starting point is A. And after traveling the path, the object stopped at point D. So here your final position or end point would be the point D. Now can you find the shortest distance between A and D? You have to find displacement. Displacement means the shortest distance. So shortest would be what? Point A is at 0 meters and point D is at 6 meters. First, when we were calculating distance, we said that when the object moved to A to B, then it went back, so we are adding up everything. But now in displacement, you need not add up everything because you have to find the shortest distance possible. So what would be the shortest distance from A to D? Yes, shortest means if the object will move in a straight line, it would move from the point A to point D. Then the total distance between point A and D is how much? 6 meters. So you say that when the object is covering the same path, that is, it is moving from the points A, B, C and D, but here we only have to know the initial and final position. So the initial position would be point A and the final is point D. Now the shortest distance between A and D would be what? It would be 6 meters, that is, if you have to travel to any path in the shortest way, then how you'll move? You'll move straight to that path, as straight as possible. So here, the amount of displacement would be how much? It would be 6 meters. So this is the difference between distance and displacement. Distance is the total path length. When the object is moving further or again backward, you have to again add up everything. But displacement is the shortest distance. Now this distance is a scalar quantity. That is, you do not need to consider any direction. You have to add up everything. Either the object is moving in front direction or it is going backwards. No need to care for the direction here. So we are writing it is a scalar quantity. But displacement here is a vector quantity. That is, it involves direction. Because for finding the shortest distance, if I say you have to find the shortest distance, then what you will do? You will walk straight. That means you will walk in a definite direction. And because you are walking in a particular definite direction, then this displacement becomes a vector quantity because with the magnitude, it also involves direction. So now, distance, if an object is moving, then remember, distance can never be 0. Okay, can't be 0, but your displacement, it can be 0. It may be 0 or it may not be 0, but this distance is never 0. Let's see how. Let's suppose you are given a point A here, and then you are given a point A, and then you have the point B, C and D, okay? Object moves from A to B, then to C and then to point D. So the total distance would be what? If every path is of 2 meters. So how would you calculate total distance? Total distance would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. That would give you 10 meter distance. So this would be the answer for distance. But now if I ask you what is the displacement from point A to point D, then displacement is a vector quantity, which means shortest distance. Then you will say that from point A to point D. If you have to find the shortest route, then you will not follow this path. The shortest would be a straight line from point A to point D. Okay, so displacement is always the shortest distance between your starting and ending position. So this line, the length of this line would give you displacement. And how to find the length? This would be 2 meters. This is again equal to the length CB. So this is again 2. And the distance of line from this to this is 2. So displacement would be 6 meters. Okay, so we say that, and if I say that the object traveled from the point A to D and then again to A, now what is the distance? So you will say that the object traveled from A to D and then came back to A. So the distance in going up was 10, then coming down also it had to move 10 meters. So the total distance in this case would be 20 meters. But talking about the total displacement, in this following case, what is the initial position here? Initial position is A and the final position is also A. That means the object has moved up from A to D and then again it went back to A. So here, what is the shortest distance between initial and final position? You will say initial and final position are same, so there is no kind of distance at all. That means displacement in this case is 0. You have 0 displacement. So remember, when you say that displacement is 0, when initial position is equal to final position, okay, then the displacement is always 0. And one more point to remember in distance and displacement is, remember which one is scalar, which one is vector. Okay, then remember that when displacement is 0, and then the next last point for this class is displacement is always, displacement can be equal to or smaller than distance. Okay, displacement may be smaller than your distance or it may be equal to the distance, but it is never greater from distance. Displacement cannot be greater from the distance in any condition. Okay, so this was enough for today's class. Now we'll be continuing this chapter in the next class. I hope you understood whatever I taught you now. Please go through your books, and whichever topics we have done or discussed now, please go through the video also. Thank you for joining the class today. Hope to see you soon again.